Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to another video with a guy and his projects. Today we are working on the 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4.7 liter V8 4x4 quadra track, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. This Jeep has come a long way. So we bought this Jeep as the play toy. It had a lift kit on it. You've seen all that. We removed the lift kit, got it back to rid of death wobble, back to stock height, plus some little big inch tires. We've done some other work to it too. We took a large hiatus on it while we did the blue Jeep project. That has sold, is gone. Now we're back to this Jeep. So what we're doing today is I took this on an 8-hour road trip a couple weeks ago to get rid of, after we got rid of the death wobble, I went and bought some new tires for the Nissan Titan, and we're 4 hours away. So I drove 4 hours there and back with this Jeep. Did amazing, except we sprung a leak in the radiator. So what we're doing today is we're putting in a brandy spanking new Mishimoto radiator, ordered directly from Mishimoto themselves. Anytime I do radiators, I try to replace the hoses as a basic, might as well. And then of course we've got a new thermostat and housing as well. Nothing wrong with the one currently, except there's 180,000 miles on the Jeep. Don't know when the last time was, and I'm gonna be in there. Might as well do it now rather than later. Just my thing. For an extra 30 bucks, just peace of mind, it's done, you're good, you can move on with your life. So this radiator, like I said, is directly from Mishimoto. Hopefully it's gonna work out beautifully. It came well packaged and all that good stuff, styrofoam everywhere and yada, yada, yada. I'm expecting great things. Now to do this, so when we did the engine swap, replacement, whatever you want to call it, on the blue WJ, I realized that the radiator on these WJs, the 4.7 liters, really kind of sucks. It is not fun. In fact, it's one of the worst ones I've ever replaced. I'm not saying, okay, every time I say that, you guys get really rowdy down there in the comments, man. I'll make a comment of, man, this is the worst one I've ever done. And then all of a sudden, all you guys are like, well, you're a retard, you've never touched this. Well, you're this, you've never touched that. Well, this is way harder, you should see this. I'm not saying this is the hardest one to replace. I'm saying this is one of the hardest ones I've done. So keep that in mind. But yes, this is one of the hardest radiators I've ever replaced. When I say hard, I don't mean it's not doable. I mean it's a pain in the ass. That's what I mean. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna get it done so that I can drive this thing again, and I'm pretty excited about that. So I did check this out. So I went to Scottsbluff the other day and I picked up these for the Nissan Titan. Whoo! These tires are way too big for the Titan, but it's got some stock Nissan rims. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these rims, and I drove to Sheridan with this blue Jeep to get these tires. These are some Blizzak DMV ones, not the 2s, they're the DMV ones. But I got these, so these tires will go on those rims for the Titan for next winter. I can just throw them on and have winter tires. Same goes for these. These I ran all the way to Pier, got the rims for. These I bought off Walmart.com, and we got winter tires ready to go for this thing next winter as well. It'll just be nice having winter tires on the two vehicles I drive, you know, on the ice. So that's that. We're gonna go ahead and move on, and we're gonna get this Jeep jacked up in the air, drain the coolant, start removing stuff, and putting stuff back together. So when I did the WJ, I wasn't that worried about what I was pulling because I was replacing literally everything, the engine and whatnot. So I kind of just tore it apart, wasn't paying attention. I don't know the procedure to get this apart. So we're just gonna attack it as we go because that's how I roll, okay? So remember, before you watch the rest of this video, because once the video is over and you move on with life, you'll forget, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, check out my other videos. I got tons of them on the channel now. And also leave a comment. I'm doing great today. How are you? There you go. That's your segue to leave a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Thank you very much. So let's get started. All right, so you can do this without a lift, but yes, it helps way more to have a lift. As you can see, I just parked this here last night, and this is everything from overnight, just sitting there with no pressure, so it's definitely a leaker. So all we're doing is right here, you got the driver's side tire. Woo. We're gonna go in here, hopefully you can see, there's a little petcock. I got some little line, I don't know what size this is, and it's probably not gonna stay anyway because it's barely held on there. Let's see. Oh, I'm just gonna shove that up over the nipple. It's probably gonna fall off, but whatever. And grab this. Oh, with a pair of channel locks apparently. Or adjustable pliers to be correct. Okay, so you just twist it a little bit farther. Now we're dripping it right into the bucket, and it's gonna spread out on this air dam and end up everywhere. So with that draining, we're gonna go ahead and lower the Jeep down real quick, and we'll pop the radiator cap. So we're gonna go up here, and we're gonna release the vacuum and pull this cap off. Now she's gonna dump out a lot better and make an even bigger mess, but she'll drain a wee bit faster. While that's draining downstairs, we'll go ahead and remove this upper radiator hose and get started on making some progress. Same with this guy. Just get it out of the way over here. Now you should be able to wiggle and pop this out somehow or another. Oh, she's been on there for a minute, guys. This side comes off though, so that's good. All right, she's seized in there, so I got a tool for that. All right, I'll try to link one of these down below. This is just a hose hooker kind of thing. Essentially just slide it in there. Try not to pop a hole. We're gonna replace this one anyway. Oh man. Oh yeah, she's been there for a minute. Let's see if we can. Holy crud, she's been in there for a minute. Get in there. There we go. Just trying to break the seal, work it around. There we go. There we go. I bet you we can get her off now. There we go. So all these power steering lines, looks like we're gonna end up taking this shroud off. I don't know which way is gonna be the easiest way to get these power steering lines off from the bottom. If we can leave the shroud in place, that'd be good, but I get the feeling the shroud's coming off. The overflow tank can come off or apart. So that can go over there. Yeah. I'm betting we gotta take this off. So I'm gonna make the assumption that we're taking this fan shroud out with the radiator, which means there's gonna be a few clips that have to come off. Your fan clip right here is gonna have to come off. You just got your standard little stupid Dodge Mopar red clip thing that you can snap if you never want to deal with it again, which is what I do. We're going to have all these plastic things holding these power steering lines. I'm just going to assume need to come off. You can either pop them out or undo them the right way. I like to pop things out. All right. Now this, I see potential for these to break. We might be JB welding them back in, we'll see. But this theoretically will slide straight out of here. Oh, never mind. We gotta take off the hood latch thing. And you got these two braces right here. So it looks like this has to come back because it wraps around this brace here. So it's going to come back and then out. What a crappy design. Okay. Now, there she goes. Okay. All right, so my WJ is somewhat unique in the fact that I can reach in here. You probably can't. And I actually want to repair that. I don't know how to repair it. I've got some expanded metal I'd like to line this with and get rid of these grill guards. But until then, I've got right there, I've got a different grill, and we might go ahead and throw that on while we got this apart because that one's whole. I don't like all the chrome. I like that this is brown, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and we'll see. We'll see when we get there. I might go ahead and replace it, but for now, let's worry about the radiator because that's going to be the first thing. So right now you've got your condenser, and right behind your condenser is your radiator. Your condenser is held onto the radiator right here by a bolt here and a bolt over there, and then it just sits down here. Oh, hello, that's closer than I thought. It just slides in these radiator slots. So what we're going to do is we're going to unbolt those two bolts, pick the condenser up out of those slots so that's out of the way, and that'll be free for us later. We've got a bolt here. I don't know if you can see, where's my finger? Right there. So you got a bolt here holding the radiator to the actual frame of the Jeep. Same with on the other side. We're gonna unbolt those two things. And then I think the radiator is actually more or less free on the top side. And then we'll go down, we'll finish up down there. We should theoretically be done draining water by then. But this little tunnel right here probably needs to come off. Ugh. Oh, it was latched in up here too. Heads up, just so you know. Come out, sucker. All right, that does give us more room and we can access this bolt now, so. Okay, and there's that. So now I go back to, I think the upper side is mostly disconnected. We got the condenser, which we can actually pick up. Uh-oh, well, that just broke off, but something popped somewhere. Oh, we're gonna go ahead and pick up this condenser and get that out of the radiator so we don't forget later, and that become really annoying. I don't see anywhere where this is connected upstairs anymore. We are going to have to undo the wiring and hoses down below, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Let me get you guys off of here so we can close the hood and lift it up. All right, so the next thing I'm doing is something really simple, and it just helps you with later, hopefully, maybe, sometimes if you're lucky. I'm just going to take a colored zip tie, like a yellow one. I'm just going to put it on this transmission line right here. And that's just going to sit there till we're done. And then I'm going to follow that line up here to this side of the radiator. I want to put it on this hard line as well. And that just serves as a marker for me to remember which hose goes where when I do this later. Oh, if I can reach up in there. I'm not going to do it on the soft line because I'm probably going to replace those two. I'll probably run to the store, get some hose. Which is why I'm not going to mark the soft line. I'm going to mark the actual hard line. You can use tape, marker, memory, take a picture with your phone. These don't seem to fall off. And I don't have to look up my phone later because I know I was in the way. Zip tie, follow the line over under the other zip ties right there. So now when I replace this line, because these are rock hard, man, these are not good lines anymore. We'll just rip those off, and when I go to reconnect this to the radiator, I know exactly which pipe goes to which pipe, or at a minimum, which pipe the previous owner hooked up to which pipe on the radiator. You never actually know for sure. We're going to want to disconnect the radiator hose from both here and here because we're going to pull the radiator up. We're going to want to disconnect both these transmission lines. It also looks like if we're taking this whole shroud up, we got to pull another one of these plastic clips out here. Disconnect, that's probably fine. And disconnect 1, 2, 3 more hoses here. This power steering line is also super hard, so we might replace that while we're down here too. We'll go to the store, not a big deal. Oh, wrench, regular hose, regular hose, regular hose, plastic clip. And then I think, oh yeah, and the radiator hose, and I think we'll be free flying. And this is your thermostat housing as well, by the way, that we're replacing that. So now if we did everything correctly, we should hopefully be able to pick this up. There's probably gonna be some wiggle from what I remember on the blue Jeep. We remove the condenser from its slots. That's free, yep, that's also free. So I hope there's nothing else holding this in. Oh, yeah, I think we might be good to pull it. You're just gonna have to dance around all the stuff that wanna hold it in, like power steering lines. Oh. So let's just see if we can figure out how to wiggle this out. This power steering line right here is gonna be a challenge, I can see. Let's just see. Nope, not too bad. You just gotta manhandle it, man. Yeah, this power steering line is catching everything, but it's coming, so just keep on coming. Get it out, yank it out. Oh, we caught the... So we caught the condenser on the tabs going up, that's all. So you just gotta slide that out and around. And then, there we are. Whew. I don't know what you can see, probably not much, but we're gonna try and get this radiator hose off. Now that the radiator's not in our way. There she goes. So there is a spring in this hose. This spring needs to go in the new one. The spring, from what I've been told by a couple buddies of mine over the years, is this spring just keeps this thing from collapsing. So you do want it in there. Okay, that just took all of half an hour maybe. Go down here. Yes, on the 8 mil. Ugh. Pull this one off down here first for no other reason, and that's the one I'm grabbing first. Okay, there's the bottom bolt. I'm gonna pull that apart. There's the housing. We probably could reuse it, but they're so cheap to buy new. I just like to buy new. And there's our thermostat. Ugh. She's pretty in there, actually. Ugh. There she goes. There's the thermostat. Looks like a Mopar part number, so darn it. This looks like it's got a Mopar part number on it, so this is either the original or somebody replaced it with another Mopar. It's a 195-degree thermostat, and we bought that. You can see that printed right there. We also bought 195, so it should be good. Okay, I'm going to attempt to just kind of, I'm not going to spend much time on this, but because the part the thermostat sits on is clean, but I am going to go ahead and just scrape a little bit of that off. Okay, so this is the same thing. So we're just gonna go ahead and, actually, so this has a little cutout right here, and it's got a perfect cutout right here in this gasket for the seal, that little jut out there. Get in there, okay? Now we should be able to just set this right in place. Now, we can either put this on here now, which I think will actually be the smart move. I do have one hose clamp for this one, so we're gonna go ahead and slap this one in just so it's in there and ready. Just like so. I'm gonna make sure I get this hose clamp facing down in such a way that I can reach it later. So I actually might flip that around the other way, hold on. So, that way I can reach it from under the Jeep. Right now it's easy to get to because, you know, there's no radiator fan shroud, but that's not gonna be the case next time probably, so. We're gonna get that set right there. I'll tighten that up. So now we're gonna transfer all this stuff over. We'll just start with the easy stuff and grab our insulators, our little vibration dampeners, whatever you wanna call them. Yeah. 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 So we'll go over here. Boom, boom. Our transmission lines are gonna come. This whole entire assembly's got to come, so we'll go ahead and knock that loose right now with these 10 millimeters. And set it down. Now's the super fun part of getting this back in around all the same lines that gave you trouble on the way out. Holy crap, that's a huge freaking petcock. Oh boy, okay. So let's get this kind of in place. Yep, this same power steering hose is still gonna be a pain in the butt, but I have an idea how to rectify that, and that idea just didn't work because this one. I'm gonna kind of shug that in first, just like so. Oh yeah, that worked way better. Just twist it, turn it clockwise in, and then revert. That just worked way better. Oh yeah, we were gonna replace the grill, huh? Should we do that real quick? How much of this grill's being held into? Well, let's just leave the grill all beat up as it is. All right, let's try and get this in here. Okay, we're pretty much around that power steering line that's giving us all kinds of problems. Passenger side looks like it's ready to go in. Okay, that one side's in, and that side's in. All right, I gotta pick up the condenser and put the condenser in its place in those slots on the radiator. Screw the condenser in, screw the radiator in, and screw the condenser to the radiator. We're on our way. Okay, radiator is now mounted nice and solid. Now we just gotta mount the condenser, screw the condenser to the radiator. Same guys that came out earlier, gotta go back in. Those are mounted. Now, we can put this guy back in, And we can put our upper radiator hose in, and we can put our cross member in. Let's go ahead and put this in right now before we completely forget about it. So, yeah, oh boy. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. We might do a cold air intake here eventually anyway. So now we got this upper radiator hose here and a couple hose clamps. But always think about how you want to get this back later. I'm going to want that up here like this. Same with this one, I want it up here like that so I can undo it easily enough later. I'm going to go ahead and slide this sucker on. Okay, and we'll slide this side on. Just like so. Okay, so now it's super easy to grab this and tighten it up. Upper one is on. Now we're gonna lift the Jeep again and go downstairs again, but we're pretty much done upstairs. We will end up having to route these power steering lines one more time, but we'll do that when we're done pretty much. All right, so down here is gonna be the same story as removal. We're gonna tighten up our radiator hose here. We're going to get this on in place there. Don't forget to put your lower radiator hose on. That'd be a mess. And then we're going to swing these guys back where they belong and get them up in there. And then we'll get some transmission hose here. This power steering hose, I am going to go to the store tomorrow, but the closest one is 40 minutes away that has it. So that'll be in the morning because tonight's tonight. So. But I'm gonna get everything else hooked up. We can even fill the radiator tonight. And then tomorrow we'll just run that hose and flush the power steering fluid, which not flush, it's already flushed, but you know what I mean. But for now, I'm gonna get our lower radiator hose hooked up right here and our transmission hoses and all of our hydraulic hoses except the one coming from the power steering fluid reservoir. So I'm gonna do that. So we're gonna start filling it up with a gallon of distilled water and another gallon of fluid. We're not going to stress too much about any of this, about what fluid goes where. This Jeep is old, man. We're just going to fill her up, man. About half a gallon of that. So we're going to pop our bleeder out. Holy crap. Okay, and that should let us fill this a little smoother. Okay, so now you can see we've got fluid leaking out over here, so that means we're pretty much done. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that guy. All right guys, we're pretty much there. All we got left to do now, so we've got the radiator filled up, we got all the lines reconnected. We're not gonna play with the power steering. We're gonna end up doing a service on that here soon anyway. Not power steering, transmission. Power steering, I gotta run into town tomorrow, get a line for that because I'm down there, might as well replace it. So I'm gonna replace the power steering line as long as it's empty and I've got it off already. Come back, we'll fill up the power steering and then we're good to go. Okay, now all we gotta do is replace that power steering line, fill up the power steering fluid, turn it on, get her hot, and then once she cycles and the thermostat opens, we should be able to top off just a little bit more coolant, but that was pretty much 2 gallons right there. I don't foresee needing much more, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow. In the meantime, I'll be back and then we'll take her for a drive and see how she does. All right, it is the next day. I couldn't go to the store last night because they were closed to get more hose. I just got some more power steering hose to go from the reservoir to the hydraulic unit. I just got essentially some of this multi-use hose because nobody had what I needed in stock. And this I just plugged in and looped up and over and zip tied it to the shroud. I can show you that if I pick this up again, but for now we got to fill the power steering fluid and then we're ready to fire this up and start having at it. So pull the cap, dry as a bone because we drained it. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do this without spilling. Nope. Should have grabbed a funnel. A little fuller than I wanted to get. So now she's gonna end up bubbling out on us too, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. Okay, so at this point, she's kind of bubbling out. I wanna put the, I'll just show you. Okay, so at this point, we're gonna take the keys. Climb up in here. Turn them to the on position. simply so that we can then take the steering wheel and spin the steering wheel. We shouldn't have drained the gearbox, but just on the off chance we did, I'm just going to spin these lock to lock a few times. Yeah, I want to do that a few more times, and then we're going to check the reservoir, which, as you can see, it already dropped a good 1.5 inches, and we're just going to make sure that's full before we fire it up. So I'm going to do that. No point in you watching. It's just me turning the steering wheel. So filling up the power steering took almost all of 1 quart, and that was just us spinning the tire back and forth without turning the Jeep on. Once we turn the Jeep on and the pump actually kicks in, providing I know what I'm talking about, and that's what happens, we might need to dump a little bit more in, but for now we've got enough to at least start it just fine. Our radiator, we've got full of water and coolant, obviously. We use some Napa stuff. And we used our bleeder screw, filled up everything, so everything should be theoretically more or less full. But we're going to start this, let it run. We're going to get it hot enough that the heater kicks in, not the heater. We're going to get it hot enough that the thermostat kicks in and opens up. That way we can get everything through the block and everything else too. And theoretically, by the time that happens, we should have a good idea on our fluid levels and everything else. Once that thermostat opens, we'll kick the heater on to fill up the heater core in case anything drained out of there. A lot of people will tell you, or you'll assume, when you start your vehicle, turn the heater on full blast. Personally, I feel like that makes it take a lot longer for the engine to heat up. So I wait until the engine is at temperature to do that, because otherwise you're stealing some heat for the cab, which you don't need. So we're going to do that. I'm going to fire up and we're going to see how long it takes to get her up to temp. First things first, she did suck down some more power steering fluid, so we'll top that off a little bit more. Again, you don't want to overfill it because it'll come bubbling out like it already did. You do have a dipstick on your power steering fluid. Use it. That'll tell you exactly where you need to be. You did hear her whine a little bit when she first started up. That was because there was nothing in the pump. Alright, waiting for this to warm up, I had some time to play and I reorganized my little dashboard here. So we're at 172 degrees, we should be seeing what this is going to do here momentarily. Another 20 degrees, and this should cycle through and we'll be able to fill her back up. But we'll find out momentarily. Alright guys, so we have replaced the radiator coolant hoses, the upper and lower radiator hoses. We replaced the thermostat and the housing, and now we're out cruising the mountains. So I live at about, and there's people on motorcycles passing on a mountain curvy road in double yellows. Anywho, and I'm doing 10 over. Anyway, back to you know, oh yeah, and there's a car coming the other way. Who would have thought? Wow, you know. So, okay. Love motorcycles. I love motorcycles. I ride motorcycles. Motorcycles get hit innocently all the time by cars. Motorcycles also cause a lot of accidents. So, don't be stupid, guys. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Radiators installed. I live at about 3,400 feet above sea level, and I drive up to about 6,800 feet above sea level all the time. 6,500, somewhere in there, I don't actually know. But we're up in there, that range. And the thermostat is doing great. Radiator's doing great. I've got no leaks on the transmission or the coolant. So everything is working out fabulously. The only thing I've noticed is I've got a little OBD2 dongle that I put in, and I got an app on my phone so I can monitor certain parameters. And pulling up the coolant is pretty much hanging out around 205 degrees, and it gets up to about 212 on the inclines pretty quickly. And it's a 195 degree thermostat. So I would like to see the coolant stay at about 195 degrees, right? I'm not saying it's inaccurate, because you've got your thermostat on the bottom of the block essentially, and then you've got your sensor up on the top of the block. So it's not going to be the same exact reading, but I'd prefer it be that closer, because I don't know, like, is the thermostat set at 195, but is it faulty from the factory and actually set at 205? Because it holds 205 pretty good. It gets down to 203, but that's 203 is about as low as I've seen it. Or is the delta between the sensor and the thermostat actually that much? I don't really know. And I guess there's not really a way to know unless I plug in another sensor elsewhere, or I flip out the thermostat with another one. So for now, I'm just going to leave it. We're not overheating by any means. Running at 203, 205. It is what it is. If I have issues, maybe I'll swap it out or add another sensor somewhere else. So I don't know on that one right now. That's just where we're at. Guys, remember, if you want to see more videos, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button. I keep putting my hand in front of my face. I should have flipped my camera the other way. I'm just using my phone. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me how you're doing today and why you watched this video, and make sure you guys have a good day, all right? If you're doing this repair, let me know down below how it went. Let me know if I was helpful at all. It's always good stuff to know. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Got tons of videos on the channel and a crap ton more videos coming, so stay tuned. We've got this WJ. It's got a long way to go, and eventually I'd like to put it on 1 tons. I've got the Super Duty and a ton of projects with that. We've got the Expedition, we've got the other Jeeps, we've got cars, we've got trucks, we've got Nissan Titan actively right now, and not to mention a home project here and there too. So stick around, stay tuned. We'll see you later.